Yes, we started.
Oh, good God. Hi, sorry.
How many people are here for Chillin' with voice actors?
Super
You are the lucky few who actually braved the line and made it in, so I thank you so much.
I don't know about that guy.
More people will come in, but by the time they come in, this panel will already be over. So you'll get to see the panel that they missed out on.
And they'll be so happy.
Wow.
And you can rub it into their faces that you got to start off AX like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So, although you've been getting acquainted with these people, let me introduce you to them. We have Jamieson Price here today.
Hey.
We have Abby Trott. We have Keith Silverstein.
Yeah.
Dave B. Mitchell. Mona Marshall, the legend herself. Frank Todaro.
Hey.
Jason Marnocha. And the lovely and talented Karen Strassman, who just ran in with me.
Hey.
She's the only talented one on this panel.
No. She's the only lovely and talented one. Apparently.
Hey.
It's true.
Wow.
So,
Abby's going to say that word now.
so usually we start this off by asking a couple of questions, but since we started late, I'm going to expedite through a few of these. So tell us some of the roles that people would know you best for, and tell them about an obscure job you've done that no one would know was you. It could be a commercial, it could be a looping job, it could be even an on-camera job, just anything that would make people's heads explode if they found out it was you. Jameson, why don't we start with you?
Most people know me from Mortal Kombat, Fate Zero, Gankatsuo, the Count of Monte Cristo was a good one. I've been doing this a long time, so there's a whole lot of roles out there somewhere. Virion from the Fire Emblem is one that people go, that was you? Because it was no bass at all. I'm all about the bass. But
You sound like a 12-year-old girl next to him.
Virion was way up here, and it was kind of weird stuff. So I think that's the most strange one that people would not know it was me.
Abby?
Hello.
Don't say it.
Some roles that people know me for. Ivy and Carmen Sandiego on Netflix currently. I was Julieta Judas in Gundam IBO. I played Maya Fey in Ace Attorney. And I sang this theme song for Super Smash Brothers. And one weird thing.
Can you give us a little bit of Lifelight?
What's that?
Can you give us a little bit of Lifelight?
Not legally, no.
Fair enough.
I need approval from Nintendo. But I sing the Super Smash Brothers song.
That works.
That was terrible. Yeah. What else? Oh, a weird thing that a weird role. Okay, so I was Barbie in the commercials for Toys R Us that were out a few years ago. And Dave was in some of those too, right? Yeah.
Dave was Barbie?
Yeah.
Dave was Barbie.
Yes, I was Barbie, actually. I was Skipper, in fact. I was Skipper.
Oh, okay,
So, yeah.
Skipper. All right.
Thank you.
You were a
I
bear,
know.
right?
It's
You
a
were
mistake.
the bear thing. And another random thing is I was in 50 Shades Darker doing a voice match for Dakota Johnson. So that was me in a couple of scenes.
50 Shades in the VO booth.
Yeah.
Dope. What rating? What's the? How old do you guys have to be here? I guess I'm best known for the voice of Torbjorn from Overwatch, Vector the Crocodile from Sonic the Hedgehog, Hunk from the Resident Evil series, Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, Kimimaro from Naruto, Soul Calibur fans, I'm Zasalamel in that. All kinds of fun stuff. Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. I'm Hawkmoth in that. And something obscure no one knows. If any of you used to watch the Fisher-Price Little People show before, when it was claymation, when it was actually claymation, they changed it, but it was. I was like Freddy the Frog and like all the animals and all the vehicles in that. So, except for maybe a couple that are obviously women, of course.
Obviously.
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 Maybe not,
You know, the cars with boobs were not me, is what I'm saying.
Now I'm a little disappointed now.
Remember
kinda,
that? Those cars
I was
with
like
boobs,
imagining they were.
Yep,
but-
yep.
Nice. Let's see. Probably current stuff. I'm Geass in Sector in Mortal Kombat 11. I was Shocker in Spider-Man for PS4. Mr. Gutsy in the Fallout games. Let's see, what else? I just forget stuff. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I have to look myself up sometimes. I don't know what I'm in. Let's see. I think one of the first anime things I ever did was Highlander: The Search for Vengeance is Yoshiaki Kawajiri back in like 2005. It was like 8 of the voices in that. And Highlander is my favorite movie ever, so it was so cool to get to work on that. And something I do a fair amount of commercials. One thing you probably heard over the last year was "This is a Scots yard." All the Scots commercials, those are all me. Yeah, you're like, oh, I know that. Yeah. Or the one I did for years was Jimmy Dean. Fight the morning fainted under 300 calories. Jimmy Dean, shine on. Those are all me.
Will you sign this sausage?
Oh. Yeah, I expected Keith to ask me that, not you.
Is it my turn?
Oh, it's always your turn.
Oh, let's see. The very first anime I ever did was for Harlock. I played his niece. And then you might know me as Izzy the computer wizard from Digimon. And Doraemon from Doraemon. Terriermon. And, God, so many other anime I can't remember. I'm currently doing The Mother in Moons of Madness that will be out soon. Helga in Ratchet and Clank, if you played that game. And Kite and Doc Hack. And for many years, I was the tag announcer for Publix. Only at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
I think you left a show out, maybe.
Oh, what?
Maybe South Park, maybe.
Oh, God.
Yes, tell us about South Park, Mona.
That little.
They watch other things.
It's a cartoon no one's heard of.
Currently, and for the last 20 years, I've done about half the female voices for South Park. What? I had no idea chickenpox was such a dangerous... Does your mother know what you're all doing here? Because you all have the same mother, isn't that correct? What?
Yeah, definitely leave that one out.
Behave yourselves. This is a convention, and we will remember.
I'm just going to go home. I'll see you guys later. I'm Frank. Hi.
You're High?
Hi, Frank. Hi.
I went to Frank High.
Now. I guess I'm most known for the voice of Starscream in the last few Transformers, the Prime Wars trilogy, and a couple other of those guys who all died, apparently. I'm like the Sean Bean of Transformers. Every character I'm in somehow buys it. Yeah. Or Kenny. Perfect. Yeah. See? Full circle. We planned it, guys.
Sean Bean as Kenny.
You bastards!
So, it's terrible. So far as anime, recently in Sword Art Online, I'm Chidelkin, that evil Humpty Dumpty looking guy. Tamami Kobayashi in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Right on, bro. Right. And yes, Rising the Shield Hero on Belucas, the slave trader. Couple of things, couple of stuff that I'm not remembering right now. So. Weird thing that you don't know about me that I barely know.
Your home address?
Years and years ago, there was something called, on the Lifetime Network, there was something called Hollywood Tales, where they reenacted, they reenacted famous movies with dogs. It's Hollywood Tales. And
I see what they did there. Yeah.
At the risk of sounding blue, they did a particular scene from When Harry Met Sally, when Harry met Shaggy.
Oh, no.
Yes. I didn't do that part. I did the Billy Crystal part as they give the dogs peanut butter, so they call Madam, 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 and they had a dog reaching the climax of a particular thing that happens to humans.
You were the dog?
I voiced the dog, but the dog's a much better actor than I could ever be. So there you go. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. It's such a stadium sound. I'm Jason. You might know me from the Transformers Prime Wars trilogy, where I voiced Megatron. And then also, anime-wise, Megalobox, I was Coach Nanbu on that, so that was fun. Also, Headmaster Helvis in the English dub of Hells. Keicho Nijimura in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. God, IMDb really is for us, isn't it? It's for us.
I think he's reenacting Frank's scene from the last thing. So
yeah. and I'm trying to think of something obscure that I... Oh, okay. So a couple of years ago, I got an email in my business email from it was an Australian gentleman who wanted me to be in some sort of commercial for, apparently out there they have Warner Brothers Movie World, and I don't think they have one here that I'm aware of, but he said that they're doing a DC Rivals hypercoaster, some crazy new roller coaster, and they needed someone to voice the Joker in their commercial. So they ended up asking me, and I ended up exploding my voice in laughs for about 3 hours until I got what they wanted. And so they're like, hey, if you're ever out here, you can come on in. And I'm like, great. Yeah. Whenever I find myself in Australia, I'll hop out there and hop on a coaster. But that's my obscure story. You're up.
Hi, you guys. I'm Karen Strassman. Let's see. I am Annette Birkin in the latest remake of Resident Evil. Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but I heard it's really, really cool, and I did the motion capture for it, so it was really fun to do. Yeah. And I am Nanako from Persona. Oh, thank you, big bro. Aegis from Persona. Poison from Tekken. Soy Phone from Bleach. Rouge the Bat from Sonic. And a whole bunch of Melina and Katana from Mortal Kombat. And Chromie from World of Warcraft. Let's see, trivia. Do you guys remember the TV series Lost? Yeah? You know how at the beginning of the series they find a walkie-talkie and it has a French woman's voice on it? That is my voice.
That's awesome.
Oui, c'était ma voix. C'était moi. Qu'est-ce que je peux vous dire, hein? Voilà. That's it, Jeff.
Yeah. So the next question I like to ask, and again, we kind of got to expedite it since we're a little short on time, is what was your very first voiceover job, and how did it feel to be in the booth for the very first time? Jamieson?
Very first. I did some voiceover stuff before I got out here, so I was doing narrating historical films in the Midwest. I even did an introduction for a band. But getting out here and starting getting into anime, I can't remember what the first one was because I was just doing little tiny roles. Man C, guard D, learning the ropes and getting trained in the anime style. And but one of the first ones I really remember was Perfect Blue. It's an anime that it's a little disturbing.
Did
Kevin direct that one? Kevin directed that one, and I'm in a booth and like, okay, and I'm this photographer, and he says to the girl, okay, now unbutton the button. I'm like, where's this going? I'm getting a little uncomfortable, and it got a little crazy, and then he got an ice pick in the eye, so it all worked out. But that was one of the first ones I remember going, what is this business?
I think the first voiceover job I had was when I lived in Japan. So I was living in Tokyo for a while, and I ended up doing some voice matches for one of the companies I worked for. It's called Disney's World of English World Family Club, and they had their own little characters, and I got to voice match some of those, and I realized that I was super into voiceover, so I moved back to the States to do more. And my first anime job was Miss Monochrome, when I won a contest, and Keith was a judge on that contest.
That's right, perfect title.
And here we are today.
She was very good. Still is. First, I did some kind of like industrial things first, but those aren't interesting. So the first gig that for me, like I consider my first like legit gig, was I got to voice a number of original Chuck Jones characters for an internet show that he had called Thomas Timberwolf, and it ended up being the last production that he was involved with, and it was a dream come true and pretty amazing actually. It was just kind of a cool thing that like if I didn't get in there right then to do that, I never would have had that opportunity. But I knew immediately like that, yeah, this is what I need to do for sure. And in terms of like anime specifically, I think the first anime I did was Samurai Champloo, I think, where I'm just like a pinwheel salesman. Thank you I was the pinwheel salesman in episode 17. I said 2 things. It was amazing. He's great. I know. There's somebody's cosplaying him in the back. Look at that. I love it. I love your cosplay.
I kind of want to buy a pinwheel now. Yeah. Well, first I did kind of like you did. I did a bunch of. I kind of bopped around the country a little bit because I was doing music at a band and doing that and kind of going back and forth between that and acting. And so I did a lot of like local. I lived in Boise, Idaho for a while. I did a ton of commercials, local stuff like that. I don't know, probably one of the first things, like really thinking about being in the studio, because I did tons of that. But coming out here, definitely the first anime I did was Highlander Search for Vengeance, which was amazing to get to work on that. But I think even before that, something sort of nominally related. I was. After Chrisman left, I was Guan Yu and Liu Bei in the Dynasty Warriors games. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For the people. But that was a lot of fun, just because I think that was the first games I worked on. And I haven't done a ton of anime. I've done a lot of localizing Japanese games, though, so it's similar kind of stuff. And it's always a lot of fun. So I still, every time I get to be in the booth, I just kind of go, this is what I do? This is great. So, yeah.
Going back to Harlock, I had no idea what dubbing was, what ADR was, and actually the producer of that show had wanted to use one female for all the parts, but the people who were putting up the money really liked my little girl voice. And so I didn't know that, okay, here are numbers that you're looking at the screen, and you're looking at, the dialogue. And because I'm a musician and because I have worked hand puppets for many, many years, it all just came to me. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that when I was dubbing background for some movie, and it was difficult to match the sync, that my hand was actually doing it. But it was really thrilling. And then just very quickly, I know you asked for one. My mentor was Dawes Butler, the late Dawes Butler, who was the voice of Yogi Bear in Quick Draw McGraw. And my very first after job was doing a Scottish maid in a Sherlock Holmes radio show. And he directed, and it was like, oh my God, a dream come true.
When you were with Dawes, Mona, who else was in your class when you were studying with Dawes?
Corey Burton, Linda Gary, the late Linda Gary, Tony Pope, who, passed away like in '99. Everybody in that same class. Nancy Cartwright came class after. Brian Cummings had been the class before. But every one of us who are still living are still working.
They're all the top in the field, too.
Just fantastic, yeah. Matt Groening was, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who was associated with The Simpsons. He was in that class as well. It was pretty freaking awesome.
So similar answer to some of the other ones. My first job was some industrials with medical words with 16 syllables. That's very boring, but pays the rent. So I'm from New York City originally, and I'd say my first gig that I remember is another dog thing.
You've gone to the dogs, Frank.
It's I think so. It was called Telenovela. It was a telenovela made for dogs, starring dogs, completely unrelated from the Lifetime thing. And I was, I forget his name.
Theodore Fitzgerald, and they had this dog who would open this big leather book, and he'd tell you the story of little Lonnie,
Who worked in a sweatshop in Texas. I don't know, but they had dogs jumping up and down, and like there was a dance scene with a bunch of dogs, and they threw lasers and what have you. There were puppet hands for the dogs to turn the pages, and I think they sold it in maybe a couple pet shops in Park Slope, Brooklyn, and no one here knows what I'm talking about.
And now it's blackmail material, so.
Oh, yes, it has been.
All right, so kind of again in a similar vein, I started off doing some sort of non-character things. I did some audiobooks early on. The first one was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which I was so excited to do because I love that story, but there's no dialogue in it at all. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I love this story. Oh. And it just, yeah, so it was kind of tedious to go through, and it's like, Mr. Irving, I understand that the fall colors are here and there are chickens and whatever, but could we please? Where's the horseman? Come on, so that was early on, but then my first experience with animation proper was anime with Sound Cadence Studios doing Rio Rainbow Gate, which having not much experience with that kind of thing at all, it was head turning a little bit because, like you said, there's the words on the screen and the whole bit was a bit something to get used to, but it beat reading The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, so.
So before I moved to Los Angeles, I was a actor, a theater actor, TV actor, voiceover actor in Paris for about 16 years. And how that started, I'm going to date myself. Does anybody here still know what a little cassette tape is? Thank you. I got hired to do little cassette tapes for a French magazine for children called Hi Kids that was teaching French children how to speak English. And I just got hired, and I did every single voice, female voice for them under the sun. I was Lady Godiva, I was Pocahontas, I was sheep number 3, fish number 2.
Oh, that's where I know.
And I kind of cut my teeth doing that. And then that went on, and I started dubbing French films into English. And then I just started doing a lot of video games and cartoons over there, because in France, a lot of their original product, they like to do in English so it will sell better internationally. When I came back to this country, I think my first anime was Haibane Renmei. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? And then after I did that, I met this fantastic, lovely, generous woman named Mona Marshall.
And wait a minute, her name's oh man,
Mona Marshall.
And she said, I don't know. She said, I'm going to help you, and she gave me a list of everybody doing anime and some other things in Los Angeles. And she said, you go see them, you give them my name, and that's how I started working here. And that's the generosity of our community, and especially of certain people in our community. So.
Yeah, you did that for me, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, you walked me into several game places that I've done tons of games for. So, in fact, it was because of her that I ended up doing Dynasty Warriors. Yeah. Yeah, so thanks, Karen.
So you briefly touched upon this, Karen, and Abby, you can interject too, because you also started VO in another country, but what was it like to be an English-speaking voice actor in another country like Japan or Paris? Was the industry any different than how it is here? Well,
I can start.
Don't fight over it.
Karen first. I was just being...
Okay, so when I started out, and it still is, because I speak English, and so I did a lot. I know. Thank you. And there was a very small, very talented core of Anglophone actors in Paris who were doing all kinds of voiceover work. But because there were so few of us, we would do a job and we would get to do like 10, 20 voices in a cartoon. And when I came to America, I was just auditioning for one voice in an anime series, one voice in a cartoon series, one voice, you know, unless now anime we do like Soldier number 3 or, you know, student with her book bag number 4. But I was doing 3 and 5 leads in all of those, and that was a big difference for me. You know, when I got here, I was like, oh, I only do one role, and I auditioned against 530 other people for that role. So that's a big difference.
In Japan, it's a little bit different because there's less variety of English voiceover. There's a lot of work, I would say, but there's a lot of promo, there are textbooks, things to teach English or like English radio, that kind of thing. But as far as like animation and dubbing goes, when it comes to that, it was kind of few and far between. I think I only auditioned for one cartoon while I was living there. And I left Japan before I really got into the voiceover world because it is like a very small community. And while I was there, I did some textbooks and industrial things, some promo. But the characters that I did for the company that I worked for were by far my favorite thing to do because they were characters and I like to bring characters to life. So yeah, that's one thing that drew me back to the United States is because there's not such a huge variety of English voiceover when it comes to like games and animation in Japan.
Good answer. Now, let's shift gears a little bit, because now we're going to do the thing that I know you all want to see, the cold reading. And the cold reading is basically these people are going to perform a radio play script that I've picked out, and I've also marked up this time so they don't have to mark it up. We're being efficient tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for marking it up.
And I cast it, and tonight's show, you get to see Flash Gordon, Episode 1.
Yes.
And let me go ahead and start announcing the roles and passing out scripts.
Where it all started.
Cool. Yeah.
Some of you will have direction. Others of you can go nuts with this script. But for our first role, the role of announcer, that will be played by Mona Marshall.
Excellent. Yes.
And your direction for the announcer is, I would like to hear every line in a different voice. Excellent. And next, the role of Flash, who will be played by Keith Silverstein.
Of course it will. You're Flash. Yeah. Nice.
And now we have Dale Arden, who will be played by the lovely Karen Strassman. And I love saying that.
I was going with Jason on that one, actually. But
And I have direction for you, too. I would like to hear Dale with a French accent this time. We haven't done that before. You choose the region, and you can choose how snooty you want her to be. And next, we have our main villain, Emperor Ming, who will be played by Jamieson Price.
Ooh, fun.
And we have Foon, Prince of the Lion Men, who will be played by Dave B. Mitchell. Finally, we have the role of Dr. Zarkov, who will be played by Jason Marnocha. And for the prestigious role of our slave, that will be Frank Todaro.
is he a dog?
And finally, the role of Princess Aura will be played by Abby Trott. So if you want to read over the script in like 5 seconds, go right ahead. Otherwise, we will start. Mona, will you perform the first line for us?
Presenting for the first time on radio, the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden. These thrilling adventures come to you as depicted each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Comic Weekly, now printed in 32 tabloid-sized pages, each page in full 4 colors, is distributed everywhere as a part of your first Sunday paper. Racing high above the earth, comfortably seated in a giant airliner, Flash Gordon, internationally famous athlete, looks admiringly across the aisle at Dale Arden, the lovely young champion of his air voyage. The minds of both are intent on the terrible destruction which for many months has been approaching the Earth with terrific speed. The new planet hurtling through space directly in the path of the Earth. Suddenly, there's a violent jar.
There are sound effects.
The plane lurches into a spinning nosedive. Flash Gordon's trained muscles carry him across the aisle to the frightened girl to gather her in his arms and then leap free of the falling plane, pulling the ripcord of his parachute, glides to Earth.
Don't be frightened, Dale. The plane has crashed. We're safe.
Mais oui, thanks to you.
Hold fast and tight. We're landing now. Careful. Easy.
Oh.
Are you all right, Dale?
Mais oui.
Good.
Oh, look, Flash. There is a large steel door. It is closing.
Why, that's the laboratory of the great scientist, Dr. Hans Zarkov. He's coming this way. I'll call him to help us. I hope you'll pardon us for breaking in on you so unceremoniously, Doctor, but you see, we had to bail out.
I see you for what you are, spies. Come to steal my secrets, but I have the answer for that. Come with me.
Put that gun away, Professor Zarkov. The man is mad, Dale. We'll have to humor him. All right, Professor, all right. We'll come with you.
Get down this ladder, into this tower. Down, I tell you.
All right, all right.
There now. We are... Pardon. We are in my rocket ship. It's very smoky. And in 10 seconds, we will be on our way to the new planet. We will all die. Die for science!
Professor Zarkov, I'm beginning to think what you have may be contagious. Should we be worried?
Oh, Flash, the doctor is mad. This rocket ship is breaking away from the Earth with the speed of light, right into the path of a new planet.
Hold tight, Dale. Tighter. Tighter still. We'll escape somewhere.
To the new planet. The new planet. We three will save the Earth.
Dr. Zarkov, there's still time to swing your rocket ship out of the path of the new planet.
Yeah, but no.
What will you gain for science if we're all killed in the crash?
I know who you are, Flash Gordon. I see your name tag. The world's greatest athlete. But your trained strength will not save you. Only my mind, the mind of Zarkov, the scientist, can save you. Can save any human soul upon the Earth.
The turbo drive. He is reaching for the controls. I need a cigarette. Do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Stand aside, Dr. Zarkov.
Oh, all right. Wait, no. The gravitational pull of the new planet. We crash in 5 seconds.
Crash!
Dun, dun, dun.
Ship hits the planet. Dr. Zarkov and Dale are thrown from the rocket ship unconscious. Flash is thrown clear of the wreckage and lands on his feet. Get this, uninjured. He rushes to the side of the unconscious girl, naturally, picks her up and starts to carry her toward the distant towers of a city on this weird new planet. Oh my God! Suddenly, strange soldiers armed with ray guns appear. No kidding. And capturing Dale and Flash, force them to come with them to. Oh my God, this is in English. Force them to come with them to the throne of Ming the Merciless. Oh, I don't like this guy at all. Emperor of Mongo and supreme ruler of the universe.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, thou indulgent Ming! Most merciless majesty of Mongo, supreme leader of all the people of the new planet, thy slaves salute thee.
Good. Ming shall want the Earth people.
Thy slaves obey, O Ming the Merciless.
Get your hands off me! I'm no slave. I'll meet your emperor as a free man and an equal.
So, Earthman, you are a free man and my equal. Throw him to the red monkey men in the arena. I would be forced to make this free man my equal.
There is thy freedom, Earthman. Now you go into the arena to meet the red monkey men of Mongoid.
No!
Don't worry, dear. Emperor Ming, I will show you that I am a free man from the earth, which I think I've clearly established up to this point. And that I am more than a match for your brainless red monkey men, no matter how loud they are.
Yeah? You sure about that? Flash reaches the bottom step leading to the arena. He leaps and swings at the nearest red monkey man. Then, grasping the fallen man-beast under the armpit, Flash whirls him around in a flail, knocking the others in all directions. And that guy's swing or what? Emperor Ming, fearing that his monkey men will all be killed, oh no, orders his soldiers to destroy Flash with their ray guns. In the midst of the confusion, Princess Aura, the beautiful young daughter of Emperor Ming, calls to Flash.
Quick, brave Earthman! This way! Here to my balcony!
Yes, so, Flash leaps to the royal balcony and joins the gorgeously jeweled princess, who commands the slaves to keep back while she takes Flash through a secret door and into a passage. Really? You sure? Leading to a private elevator. We all know where this is going, don't we? The two get in, and Aura closes the door and presses the switch.
Who are you, beautiful maiden?
I am the Princess Aura, only daughter of Ming the Merciless.
How old are you? Princess, however old you are, I owe you my life.
You are brave and handsome and strong. You must not end so young. I have never seen anyone like you, Earthman.
Where I come from, Princess, there are many stronger men and better looking. But tell me, Princess, where are you taking me?
I am taking you to the private landing frame of my own rocket car.
You bet, baby.
There, you will be safe. Rocket car. Oh, cool. We have arrived, Earthman. Get in this rocket car. No one can harm you here. Except maybe... No one can harm you here.
But, Princess, I don't...
Get them. They're in there. Hurry.
I hear him.
Closer.
Hurry.
But, Princess Aura, how am I to rescue the Earth Girl Dale Arden?
That is why you are in my private rocket car, Earthman.
Wait, what do you mean?
Dale Arden can never be rescued by you.
But, Princess, I...
Dun, 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 dun.
As for you, Earthman, you shall love me or die.
Now to the music
Yeah.
stage.
Dun, dun, dun.
Meanwhile, back in the palace, Emperor Ming is talking. Oh, is this what they're doing? Is talking? You're telling me? Well, there's all kinds of intercourse, isn't there? What? Okay, is talking with Dale. Social intercourse means talking. My Russian is from New York today. Meanwhile, back in the palace, Emperor Ming is talking with Dale Arden.
Your companion, Flash Gordon, has escaped, but not for long. My men will soon capture him.
No. What are you going to do with me, Emperor Ming?
You
are you going to tie me up?
You are pleasing to me, Earthwoman. You will become my wife.
Never. I don't want to have that kind of relationship. I am polyamorous, and I don't love you.
We men of Mongo have no human traits. No love, no mercy, no kindness. Whether you love me or not makes no difference. You shall become my wife as soon as this ceremony can be arranged.
Your Majesty, look at the spacograph. That's what we're calling it, a spacograph? Our city is being bombarded by the space gyros of the Lion Men.
The Lion Men?
And they're loose.
Order the entire space fleet to the attack! Dun, dun, dun.
In the terrific battle that takes place between Emperor Ming's space fleet and the gyros, or gyros, depending on how you want to say it, of the Lion Man, the attacking gyros, or gyros, are driven off. Oh my God, they are really something, aren't they? Oh, anyway, so the rocket ship in which Flash Gordon has been held captive is destroyed. Really? Just destroyed just like that? Oh my goodness. And Flash is thrown to the ground unconscious. Oh, God, I really like him. He's so sexy. He opens it. You've seen him too, haven't you? He opens his eyes to find himself staring into the great bearded face of Thun. Oh, Prince of the Lion Man. This could get real interesting. Thun lets his great sword fall as he sees Flash Gordon's white skin.
Who art thou, white-skinned youth? Speak, answer me before I cleave thy white body, thy rippling, muscly, oiled white body. Oh my God. Before I cleave it in pieces, art thou a new kind of soldier of Ming the Merciless?
I am the sworn enemy of that fiend Emperor Ming of Mongo. Get your hand off my thigh.
Sorry, was that my hand?
I hope it was. He has captured a girl who is from the Earth, like myself. I live only to rescue her.
Ooh, an Earthman, thou sayest?
Yes.
And an enemy of Ming the Merciless?
That's right. Tell me, are you friend or enemy?
Oh, you're asking. I am Thun, Prince of the Lion Men, hereditary enemies of the men of Mongo. If thou would accept me as thy friend, Earthman, I will gladly join thee against Ming the Merciless.
Here's my hand on it then, Prince Thun.
You got anything else? Okay, hand is fine. Hand is fine. Good. What do they call you there, sailor?
I am called Flash Gordon upon the Earth, Your Highness.
Oh, well, call me Thun, friend, and I will call thee Flash.
You said that like you just made that up. I literally just told you my name. Friend Thun, do you know how we can gain admittance to the palace, that we may rescue Dale Arden?
Come, I will show thee a secret way into the palace. It's the back door.
Fine, show me your back door.
The Emperor Ming is away pursuing my Euro fleet. It's actually a sandwich fleet. It's delicious. You should try them. They're Greek with a little feta and some lamb, kind of in a... Oh.
I'm starving. That sounds amazing.
I know. After the battle, we should get dinner. Are you busy or do...
No, let's do that.
Okay, good.
What did you say they're called?
Well, Euros.
Euros.
They say gyro, but it's actually... We'll get to that later. We may be able to rescue the Earth Girl before Ming's return.
Who? Oh, yes, Dale. Right.
Yes.
Flash Gordon and his powerful newfound friend go first to the space gyro of Prince Thun, and there they gaze intently into the thought projector, in which they not only see Dale Arden captive, but they also have revealed to him a secret way leading into the throne room of the palace. The secret passage is known as the Tunnel of Terror because of the deadly beast which lie within its gloomy walls. Fighting each step of the way, Flash and his new friend Prince Thun finally find themselves within the palace. A door with great steel bolts stands before them.
Quick, Thun. This door must lead directly to the center of the palace.
From my memory of the palace, I should say that beyond this door is the great throne room of the Emperor Ming.
All right, then. Here we go.
Oh, we can't do this.
We can't do that.
We can't do this.
We can't do that. That would be offensive.
She can do it.
That's the door opening, folks. That was a very loud door. You're right, Thun. It is the throne room.
I know, I said that.
Well, you're right, though. I
Thank you, but yeah, I don't need you to confirm.
We're slowly building trust, Thun.
Okay, fine. Look, this great statue before us is the god of death, which stands at the top of the altar steps, directly behind the throne of the emperor, because this is the throne room, as I pointed out prior to our entry.
Totally confused. Listen, Thun, what's that?
By the great god Pau! I just made that up. It's not even a real thing.
It actually sounded made up, yes.
It's the royal wedding procession. Ming the Merciless is taking another bride.
Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila.
We like that guy.
He's coming up the altar steps. Thun, I'm going to look around the idol.
Stop, Flash! Okay, good. To look behind the idol means death. Thou must not, 2 question marks. It really says that. I don't know what that means, but come back!
Come back, Flash!
Thun! Thun! Save yourself! I'm going to rescue my Earth friend Dale Arden. I have to always say her entire name. She's being forced into a marriage with Ming the Merciless.
Prince Sun, also my entire name apparently, of the Lion Men does not save himself at the expense of his friends. If thou must die, I will watch you. Oh, no, I will die fighting with you too. Fine, I'm coming.
Dale! This way. Dale!
Hey, what's going on? Hey, look out.
After them.
This way, Dale.
Down this passage, Earthling. I've been waiting to say that all day. And fast as thou canst run, quick you!
They're swarming up the altar steps. Help me topple the idol over on them. Now, 1, 2, 2.5. It's a heavy idol.
Do it already.
2 3/4. Help me push the damn thing. 3.
Ow!
Ow!
Get it off! Oh, my liver!
No.
I'm dead.
With a grinding crash, the giant idol topples over on the onrushing soldiers of Ming the Merciless, killing those in front and throwing into confusion the whole company. Flash Gordon and Prince Thun, with Dale between them, dash into the secret passage beneath the idol. Oh no, this is not looking good. The way becomes deeper. They slip, is that what they call it? And fell. And fall. Down.
Ah!
No. 100 feet or more into a whirling underground river. They're swept along a raging current and over falls into a lake. This is terrible. With the powerful strokes of a champion swimmer, Flash sets out for the shore, howling or towing Dale by the hair. They reach the shore.
Out of my hair.
Oh, Dale! And as Flash reaches down to drag Dale to safety, we hear her scream.
Oh, it hurts very good.
Oh! She screams and disappears beneath the calm surface of the lake.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun.
Oh, that's my...
You want me to recast you, Mona?
Clutched in 2 powerful green scaly arms with no thought of his own safety, Flash Gordon dives to Dale's rescue. Water sounds, please. It finds an adventurous stranger an adventurous stranger than any which has gone before.
Dun,
oh my God!
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we can't pay for that. Sorry.
Follow the thrilling adventures of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden each Sunday in your Hearst Sunday paper. You will find them graphically portrayed in full-color pictures in the Comic Weekly. Only in the Comic Weekly can you follow the escapades of the Katzenheimer kids. Those perennial rascals are thrilled with the adventures of King of the Royal Mountain. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Only in the Comic Weekly can you enjoy the good, clean fun of bringing up Father Tilly the Toiler way out west, the little king, and in the language of his hillbilly friends,
Those clean callywampas over the bodacious goings on the Barney Google. Your old friend Skippy and his little pals are waiting for you in the Comic Weekly, along with Mickey, Molly, and Pat, in their great adventure story, Rodeo Patrol. Not Rat Patrol, but Rodeo. Or actually, that's radio. Whoa! And there is Ace Drummond, the demon Aviator, Johnny around the world,
and many, many others. Be sure you get this big 32-page all-color Comic Weekly supplement with your copy of next Sunday's Hearst paper. Remember, Hearst used to own everything. And don't fail to listen again next week to the continuation of the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon and
Dale Arden.
Dun 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 dun. Flash. Dun 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 dun. Oh, he's the savior of the universe. Dun 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 dun.
That's it. Dale Arden, I think this hair belongs to you.
Ouch.
This hair, Dale? Your
That's
hair.
Dale Arden.
Dale Arden, I have your hair.
Yeah, actually, it's pronounced Ardon.
All this time.
So it's safe to assume by all the applause and laughter, you all really like that. This is why these people are some of the best in the business and why they're always working. This is what they bring to a script that had basically no direction. This is a script we've done multiple times at various conventions. And every time we do it with a group of people like this, it always comes out different. No two actors do the same reads.
That's safe.
And everyone just does a fantastic job. So thank you guys for coming out. Now, as we wind down, I want to ask you all tell us about a session from hell where you worked with a client or a director that just didn't get it, or they just wanted the same read over and over again. You don't have to name names or anything like that, but just give us an idea of some of the hard parts about doing voiceover.
I have two sessions from hell. One was a celebrity director who kind of, when I walked in the booth, and he did this to all the actors on the game, but said, "You're not leaving here with a voice." That's the way to start the session. Yeah. And he was right. He destroyed my voice in maybe 4 hours, but I think it was only 2. It was one of those, it's like some kind of military thing, and you're in a tank or whatever, but it starts at 11 and goes up from there. The other one was...
I think I know what that was.
Yeah, probably. It was
Technicolor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what it was.
Yes, you know.
I know.
So the other one was a director, and sometimes you get directors who are either showing off for the suits behind them, because sometimes in a booth you've got the director, you've got your engineer, but then there's a bunch of other people, writers, producers, studio people, I don't know. But there was a good 5 or 6 people in there behind him. And it was one of those, let's make the actor jump through as many hoops as possible. So it became kind of a game of what kind of different reads you could get out of me. And he even went so far at one point as to point out to me, try to do the line, just imagine what I was doing the moment before I said the line. The moment before is a very basic acting thing. I've got a master's of fine arts in acting. I know how to do that. But for him to go, oh wait, I have this thing for you to try. So, right? And I was just smiled and did my moment before. Yeah. So that was my 2 moments of sessions of hell.
Abby?
Boy. I once had a session with a director who did not particularly like anime voice actors. And I was informed prior to starting the project that he had already let some actors go. And I was kind of lucky to still be around, and then proceeded to direct me in such a manner that was very belittling. Told me that he didn't want me to sound like a biatch or anything like that, and it was just super unpleasant. It's really rare that something like that happens. Usually, the people that we get to work with are amazing and friends and. They get it, and we're all in the same boat. We're working together. But this was a situation where I felt like I was kind of, the odd man out trying to work against the director, and it was not a nice feeling. So that happened to me.
Yeah, it's a good point. Usually what we do is is a ton of fun. It's great. Everybody we work with is fantastic. So this is not a good representation of like the day-to-day for us, but that was what the question was.
That's why it's a session from hell.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, there have been a few. I think there was one I was doing on a film that still hasn't come out, so I don't think it's ever coming out, but... But it was, you know, and early we were doing some background voices and stuff, probably scratch track. I don't think any of it they were going to keep anyway. But the director, and I have no idea who he was, but the director on this had a real difficult time expressing what he wanted. So he very quickly just he devolved to the point where he just did the read for you. So he just was like, say it like this. And then he would say it, and you would repeat it just like he said it. And he'd go, no. Say it like this. And then you would go, okay. And you would do that. And he would go, no. And then you look back at the engineer who's going,
about. I know who you're talking about.
And you know, at least, but that means something to us because then we go, it's not me. Like, I'm not totally insane right now. And that's just, once it got to that point, once he got there, then everything for the rest of the session was just like, I'm going to tell you how to say it, except I can't hear myself. So whatever he was thinking in his head is not the way he expressed it out loud. And so it was a losing battle for me from that point forward, which once you acknowledge that, it's never fun. You're just like, oh, all right, cool. So.
Yeah, I have a couple, actually. One of them was a very similar experience to that. I'm not going to say what it was, but the director, I ran into a friend. I was at the studio, ran into a friend who was also director. Out in the lobby, and I told him what I was working on that day, and he said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to give you a little heads up here. The director's a good guy, but he played most of these characters, and now he's recasting to have more voices. So I'm just going to tell you right here, it's not you. He's literally going to line read you on every single line. So I know, like, you know, I would have just smiled and worked through it and not shown him that I was not happy about it, but I would have done it because we're professionals and that's what you do. But knowing it going in helped because it didn't surprise me then when he literally, because I'll tell people when I go into work, listen, you know, if we get to a point where you've let me try it a couple of times, if I'm not getting there, go ahead and line read me. It's you know, check your ego at the door. It's not about you. If I don't get it and you've given me a chance, then please line read me because then I'll get a better idea of what you're thinking and we can move on because ultimately we're just trying to get the job done. So in that case, it was good to know. Probably the worst one, and it's funny because this wasn't a director not taking care of me. This was a director desperately trying to take care of me. It was on Spider-Man. It was either Shattered Dimensions or one of the Time ones. I was playing Dr. Octopus, and it was pre-Doc Ock, Otto Octavius. So I walk in on a Friday. A director I've worked with before, great guy. He's kind of a ball buster. I can say that, right? Kind of a ball buster. But it's all, yeah, I did say it. Okay, so let's rewind time. I'll take that back. Man, if I could do that, hey. But it's kind of his way. He's never serious about it. He just kind of creates a light atmosphere, and he's great to work with. And I'd worked with him before plenty of times. And I thought this was a callback. Actually, I walked in on a Friday afternoon thinking I'm going back to have another audition and maybe get the role. And as it turns out, he said, no, you got the job. It's yours. I was like, oh, awesome, cool. And he said, you're playing Otto Octavius. Even better. So I look at the script. He looks at the script. And then he drops the whole teasing thing. And I'm like, uh-oh, this can't be good. And he looks at me very seriously and says, I'm so sorry. If I had known, this would have been 2 sessions. It was a 4-hour session. So I'm playing Otto Octavius and like Soldier 3 and Thug 5, because you typically end up playing 3 roles on just about anything, even if you're playing a lead. And he looked at me, and I looked at the script. I had a dialogue between Otto and the 2 soldiers. I had 6 pages of actual dialogue, and I'm not exaggerating, 22 pages of screaming. Actually transforming into a creature, monster thing for 22 solid pages. Yeah, and he looked at me and he said, we're doing 1 take of everything. If I need a second one, if I absolutely need a second one, I'll ask you for it, but otherwise. And we got through it, and he really was trying to take care of me. So it was not, I'm going to make you bleed. He's like, I'm trying to do everything to not make you bleed. By the end of the session, I couldn't make a sound vocally. Literally. And I went on vocal rest for a couple of days, and I didn't say a word for 2 days. And by Monday, I was more or less okay. Had to go play Guan Yu on Monday, actually, for another game. So it was like, well, good thing I had my voice back. But that was probably the worst one, except it was someone actually trying to take care of me, and it just circumstances. But, yeah.
Brings up so many memories. 2 incidences, the same director who I shall not mention. The first one was on Fraggle Rock, I think, and we had to be chewing.
Oh, you already know what's best for each other. Don't you have a little voice inside you?
Anyway, so we were supposed to be chewing something crunchy, so the director, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, it is called voice acting. Okay,
Emphasis on the acting.
That means that we actually know how to act. Most of us have been through a lot of training and have a theater background. But this particular director, who had never directed that, had not directed voiceover at that time, did not know that and assumed that we just had cute little voices. You know, 1,200 people auditioned for those parts. Anyway,
You're hired.
Yeah. So anyway, he brings in celery. Now, I can't stand celery anyway, but he gives us all a stalk of celery, and we're chewing it down in front of the mic, and because it's a wallet thing, and we're all chewing, and then you get to the end of the celery stalk, and there's dirt.
Oh.
That was one session. Same guy, different project. My character's supposed to be struggling in water, drowning. Now, you could do something like this, right? You could take a little drink of water. Fine. He brings in a pan of water, makes me stick my face in it, and then say the lines as my face is in the water. I wanted to just strangle the man. I did not. Needless to say, he is no longer working in the business. Wow. I still am.
This is Fraggle Rock. I want it to be real. It must feel real. These are Fraggles, for God's sakes. Wow.
Oh my God, this is going out on the air, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right there. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's what I look like?
Yeah, don't look. It's easier. Trust me.
Similar.
Mona, the script is over.
Similar
Let the man
story to
talk.
everybody else. I had once. It was a 4-hour session, and you do several different characters. This was a while ago. And there were several different people giving direction, and they were giving 3 different directions at the same time, and the clients on the line and everything. So they would be like, "Oh, can you go up in the end, like this?" And they would say it like that. So, which is going down in the end. But the punchline to all that, again, this is a while ago. When we do these crazy screaming and fight emotes, there are places that we find that we're comfortable in our chest, in our throats, where we can do these things over and over again. We can sound like monsters and not kill ourselves. These characters, and this is, again, a while ago, where I didn't find that sweet spot. And 4 hours later, I woke up the next day sounding like Tone Loc. If anybody remembers Funky Cole Medina, I might be aging myself. One person, thank you. Right on. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, we get it.
So I was like this the next day, and I had a couple of auditions that I decided not to do because anything that I could reach that next day, I would not be able to reach unless I smoked and drank a whole lot the night before. So there's my story. You're up.
I am. So when we did the Transformers Prime Wars trilogy, this isn't a bad thing. It's more
Shout out
just
to
about
Eric Calderon, who's in the
how-
audience right now, who produced and directed that show.
There you are. Where are you?
Eric Calderon.
There you are. Good. Now, this story is about more just how I had to learn where my limits were.
Because the voice of Megatron is way down here all the time.
You should stay down there.
Shut up, Starscream. I literally can.
Windblade, get my back.
Oh, you guys.
She doesn't even sit here. Anyway,
So that voice, right, for a good amount of time, and there's
some fighting in this show.
and loud fighting and just stuff like that. And so after the first day, I sort of went home and sounded like this, and I was like, what did I do? And then so I learned very quickly that while the recording process, and I did everything that I wanted to do, and it all went really well, you also do have to monitor yourself while you're doing it, because only afterward will you go, oh, there it goes. And then your voice floats off into the ether for a few days. So, I mean, definitely with voiceover, it's important to have some honey, some tea around. So now with things that are in that vocal range, like the Demon King or something like that from Seven Deadly Sins, or something really low, I'm like, can I just have a glunk tea with a straw and just, you know, try and lubricate my throat as much as possible, or like a beer hat with tea? I'd do it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They don't do straws anymore. You can't do that.
I'm not above that. Oh. Well, shoot.
Why do you hate turtles?
I had a sippy cup when I came in here. I had a sippy cup from the so it's backstage. It really is.
So a couple years ago, I was cast in this original animated series that was created in another country. And it was sort of translated, we think, through Google Translate.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And the client was there, two of them, very young, did not speak a word of English. And they were trying to give directions to the director, who was just at a complete loss in their language because they couldn't speak English to tell me what to do. And so they kept saying, no, higher, higher. And so I was doing this voice like this, and they kept saying higher. So I was going more like this, and they kept on saying higher. So at the end, I found this voice that was right at the top through my nose right here, and I had to sustain that for 4 hours.
Ouch.
And so we recorded as much of that first season in that 4 hours as we had time for. And over the past 2 years, they've now been sending it back to us for me to replace my own voice because it was too high.
Wow. So you notice we have a microphone up front, and we have about 10 minutes left, so if anyone wants to ask us a couple questions, come up to the mic. Please make them quick. Please make them concise. Please do not run. Do not trample each other. Do not kill each other. But I want to challenge you as an audience. Ask us questions we don't normally get to hear. Don't ask us the usual questions of, how can I get into voice acting? You can Google search that or go to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
No pressure or anything. Yeah, no pressure. It's okay, really, yeah.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello. Is this microphone on?
No.
But we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, so.
Okay, so my name is Tyler. I go by Keaton on Twitter, so I don't know. Oh, hey. So I know there's 5 of you who are part of the Fire Emblem, so I would like to know the Fire Emblem cast, Jamieson, Frank, Kate, Abby, and Karen. What was the most memorable thing voicing your characters in Fire Emblem?
Most memorable thing. I mean, I've done several of the characters, but Virion was the one that I remember most because it was so bizarre to go up that high and to be a totally different character than I usually play.
I like doing Leguiarn's summer character because it seems to go kind of against her character, but it was a lot of fun to record that part.
I remember specific parts. You put me on the spot here. I don't even know. I know Sabers. I mean, Fire Emblem is very popular, so I get people all the time that are super into it. I just remember he was kind of, this guy that was just super kind of chill and whatever. I'm going to do my own thing. But I don't know. What was your favorite part of Saber in the thing? What was the memorable thing? Because I haven't played the game, folks.
I think the most memorable thing is like when he was added to the Fire Emblem Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
As well as his critical hit quotes.
Here's some good what's one of his critical hit quotes?
Get a load of this.
Get a load of this? Get a load of this! That was the most memorable thing.
Nice.
You
right
sound
there.
just like you. That's
totally remember it. Dave, you were in this too. What was the most memorable thing about your character?
I don't know. I know I'm in it. Somebody told me I was in it.
Was it your character's name?
That is obviously not. Yeah, I think they told me that I was in it. Because the thing is, sometimes we get called in to do things, particularly companies we work with a lot, and we appreciate it. They say, hey, come in, we got a game for you today, and they kind of give you the rundown. And a lot of the time, they don't tell us what it is. Yeah. Because of secrecy, and they're trying to protect, NDA and all that. So I think later they told me that my character had become a meme, the one from Fire Emblem Heroes. They said, you're a meme now. And I'm like, I don't even know which character I am. So thanks, Keith. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Anytime. We just search memes from the Fire Emblem, and we'll find out who you are.
I guess the emotes were the most memorable because Racing and Grail are very different people, so they're just figuring out how this guy would sound when he gets stabbed in the chest, kind of like, ugh, So
that's not what you sound like when you get stabbed in the chest.
Ask Christopher Lee.
No, I mean you.
No, it is. It's more.
I stabbed you backstage. That's it. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We do so many, off topic, but we do so many death sounds, like all the time on games and stuff, like constantly. They're like, oh, you're choking on poison gas, or you just get your throat slit, or you're on fire, and then you explode. And we've got to do the sounds for that. And I always think when I die in any like fantastically horrible way, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make the actual noise, and I'm going to go, huh. And then I die.
I'm sorry. Can you do that?
Because I'm going to know, like, that was it. That's what it really is. That's going to be my last thing. Huh. Yeah. It's so true. We're all going to do that. Yeah. Hopefully we won't have to. We'll die in our sleep, but
Kid shot. Oh, I had that totally wrong.
Right. Just laugh about it.
Wow, I really sucked at that. I didn't even know.
Let's move on to the next question since we only have 5 minutes left.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Please be fast.
Hi there. So this is something along the lines of, are there any like lines that you did that like stood out to you like in a weird way? Like I have one question specifically for Keith. So when I first played Overwatch and I was still getting used to everything, when I first heard Torbjorn's voice, did it ever occur to you that line where he's handing out armor, it sounds like it could easily fit in for like a guy, like, come get your peanuts or something like that at a baseball game?
Come get your peanuts.
You said peanuts, right?
I said peanuts.
Okay.
I definitely did. I swear I did.
It did not occur to me at the time. At the time, I was trying to be real serious for everybody and nail that role. And instead of going, hey, guys, what if he said, come get your peanuts? So I didn't. But I like that. Do you hear that every time he says that?
Every now and then I still do.
Well, see, that makes me happy. I like that.
Next question.
Hello. Hi. It's been so much, and by the way, I do appreciate. I forgot her name, sorry, because I was like in the line for an hour.
Mona?
No, for an hour, because in this case, yeah. I do know your voice, Izzy.
Yes.
Digimon.
Yeah,
and also
Izzy from Doraemon.
And by the way, I was actually born a year after when Digimon came out. For a very long time.
I'm so glad you grew up listening to me, really.
and also you guys in this case. So my question is, if you can also for you in this case, what was one of the best memories out of all the voice characters? You voiced many characters as possible. Like, what was one of the best moments you had in voice acting? In a good way.
We can't all answer. It'll be too long. One of you, Mona, you want to?
There are way too many. One of them was winning the role of Moki Fraggle, only to have it canceled after a year. But actually, the voice of Izzy, when I got it, they were looking for a key word for him. And we had done our first recording on a Friday, and that weekend, this is back when you rented movies, we rented October Sky.
Oh, I love that movie.
And at one point when they're launching the rocket, the kind of nerdy guy with the red hair says, "Prodigious," which was mispronounced. And this like flash in my brain went off. I thought, that's it. That's Izzy's key word. Prodigious. So that was a highlight for me because
also,
they actually
happy
used
20th
it.
anniversary to the franchise. That's turning happy 20th anniversary to the franchise this year.
Thank
It
you.
was really great.
Thank you,
honestly.
honey.
And also I do.
And he's been a joy to do, a real joy.
Thank you.
This will be our last question since we only have 1 minute left.
Speed round. So, thank you guys for your time this evening. I actually just moved to LA to become a voice actor. So, how do you guys get into voice acting?
Just show up at his studio.
Escort this man out of here.
I'll make a call. It's fine.
Acting classes?
No, yes, I'm established. I was.
Oh, you're
it was-
established
it was,
actor.
It was a bad joke. It was a bad joke.
Okay.
My real question is actually, what do you guys do to still make sure that, like, what kind of classes do you guys take to make sure that you are still on top of it? Like, just
Be a sponge. Study everything. You can take a class. Most of us are working all the time, but study everything. Go to your local coffee shop.
People
and
watching.
Start listening.
Mm-hmm.
You get so much out of hearing people talk and the interaction between people.
Yeah.
And then, if the other thing is, basically, we're always coming up with characters.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with voice placement. Okay, so.
Yeah, no, I guess my question is, like, is there anything, like, any classes or workshops that stand out to you guys? Because I've been taking classes, I've been working with people all over the place and getting established with people in here, and I was just curious, is there anything that you guys did?
Are you in a good improv class?
Yes.
Good.
I'm working with the guys at G Street and.
Good.
Oh, something that you might try. I recommend this to people. If you've got, like, say 5 or 6 characters and they're all very different, you can start doing open mic and come up with some really fun stuff. You get out there, people see you.
Yeah.
And obviously it's important to have a good record of yourself, demo.
Yeah, I mean, I've got demos, I've booked stuff.
And knock on a lot of doors and do not give up.
Yeah,
If this is what you think you're supposed to be doing,
This is the only thing that's out there.
And that's
Also, for animation, Charlie Adler and
Yes.
Richard Horvitz have great classes, and improv
Two of my
is super
favorites.
helpful for commercial and animation as well.
And I'll add just to that, one of the pieces of advice I give a lot, because we're so dependent on this these days, is also record yourself at home. I'm assuming you have a recording setup at home. Record yourself a lot. Read a lot of copy, read a lot of sides, read a lot of scripts, and listen to what you do. Because you'll quickly identify where your weaknesses are, but you'll also see where your strengths are. And you'll kind of like, oh, this is my voice print, this is my area, so that it's invaluable to record yourself a lot and be able to be critical of yourself. Know when you're good at something, but also know, you know what, that's not so strong, maybe I don't want to lean into that so much.
Yeah, we just
We're
got
getting
the
the light?
stop
We're
sign.
getting the light.
Stop sign.
Thank you, that's
So
one more
we
time.
are officially done with this panel. Thank you guys for joining me, and thank you to Jamieson Price, Abby Trott, Keith Silverstein, Dave B. Mitchell, Mona Marshall, Frank Todaro, Jason Marnocha, and Karen Strassman for joining Chillin' with Voice Actors.
So many people.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your Anime Expo.
Came from, but we're all here.